I've been waiting for Witchbrook for almost 8 years now. This game feels like a mix of Little Witch Academia, Studio Ghibli, and Animal Crossing in the best way possible. But they are extremely secretive and have been dropping mysterious little drops of lore here and there, so I decided to gather all these crumbs and analyze everything I found. And let me tell you, they've hidden tons of things in plain sight. I will split this video in 6 categories: school life at Witchbrook College, house decor and character customization, friends and romance, seasons and events, world and exploration, and other activities in general. But before we start, I'd like to thank Gingerbread Red Head and Dessa on the Discord. This video wouldn't be possible without you guys' insane analytical skills. To prevent this video from being 1 hour long, sadly I won't be able to include everything that Gingerbread has found, so I definitely recommend you join the official Chocofish Discord and check everything that was shared there so far, which is linked down below. Now let's start with school life at Witchbrook College. First, let's talk about magic and spells. In the library, we can see 8 shelves with 8 distinct icons, which probably represent the different disciplines that we will learn. We've also had several icons from our toolbar teased in different trailers, so I'll talk about each one in more detail moving forward. First, we have the most interesting discipline for me personally, which is represented by a crystal ball. I'm even more certain about the name being Arcane Arts because we actually have that name pop up really quickly during one of the teasers, as this is the Arcane Arts Classroom. I suspect this stands for the occult, which will probably be used for forecast in a sort of a discipline where we will study more traditional forms of witchcraft like rituals, spirit summoning, card reading, or divination, star reading, or astrology. I think all of these will be used for forecasting, as we've seen mentions of these as side jobs. Not to mention we've got a whole telescope for astrology, which also mentions readings. And we also got confirmation that rituals will be a spell or action on its own. As you can see here, there is an icon for it. And there is quite a few interesting things about rituals. First, we can see that 5 materials are needed to perform a ritual, which I imagine we'll probably need to bring 1. And I'm hoping we can experiment with the materials we bring to get different results. You can also see tons of materials in the entire room, and in this post there seems to be a clear connection between the green fire of the fireplace and the rituals itself. As in this article, this person is claiming that the fireplace is an elder spirit. I'm overall very excited and curious about the arcane arts, the most of all disciplines. But moving on, we have the bottle, which most probably represents crafting potions. As you can see here, we already have a potions classroom confirmed, with quite a few interesting items such as these drying racks and the crafting station over there, which takes us to the next discipline. Represented by a mushroom, I think this may be gathering and or processing. I initially thought it was cooking or food, but there is a bunch of art props in the shelves which makes me think it's related to a journal or a compendium of sorts. Further confirming my suspicion, there is another trailer that shows a bunch of these hangers for dehydrating herbs and a crafting table at the potions room where you can use flowers and other materials to craft and process herbs and plants, possibly to utilize them in your potions. Next, we have a sapling, which may represent herbology. We do have a gardening already confirmed in the game, and I think these 3 spells teased on the toolbar may be related to gardening skills. For example, the first one could be to grow plants, and the next 2 could be a weather change. Next, we have a hospital cross, which I imagine represents healing or medicine. We do have confirmation of medicinal teas and herbs in the game already, and I think it may even be tied to some delivery quests, which we'll talk about more towards the end of this video. Then we have the wand, which I think represents general spell work. So I think icons such as these are simply random spells, probably fishing and calling familiar. We've also got a preview of some mysterious spells that I can't really figure out what they are. Perhaps this fountain regenerates our mana, and maybe the screen icon is just like a revelio of sorts, which shows you all the interactable items around you by highlighting the object when you use that spell. Also, in their old game design document, there were also mentions to a shrinking spell that could allow you to access a hidden insect village. But we cannot know for sure if this feature stayed on the final game. But if you'd like to know more about the OGGG, check my previous video where I discuss it in detail. Moving on, the hammer, I'm sure it stands for construction, which we obviously will use to decorate our cottage, or perhaps maybe also fix things around the town as a side job, which again I'll talk more about towards the end of the video. Lastly, we have the most mysterious icon. There's a star, which is also the Witchbrook College logo. Because of that, I think it represents history or archaeology in the same sense that we have in games like Fields of Mysteria, Animal Crossing, and Stardew. We'll probably be able to dig for items and complete some sort of collection. I say that for a couple reasons. First, we have two icons that would fit perfectly, which seems to be a magnifying glass for inspection and a shovel for digging. And digging more specifically, I don't really see any other use for it, since we normally would use a hoe to plant and gather, so I'm almost sure we'll be able to dig artifacts or something like that. Secondly, we have this room here that was teased, and you can see multiple cases with random items being displayed. Not only that, but you also have the Witchbrook logo again everywhere, including the teacher's desk over there. While the students have multiple scrolls on their desks, which kind of makes me think this is like a history classroom. Also, it may be worth mentioning that the stall for the festival has the same icon and some portraits are being sold, which further confirms my suspicions. Moving on to decoration and character customization, I think we are safe to assume that we are getting several fun customization options. First, room customization. Not only the trailers feature several different room designs with different colors, wood shapes, and accessories, but there is also mentions to something called trinkets being sold at festivals, which I imagine are the things that we hang on the brooms, or perhaps we decorate the cottage with. Then we'll probably have some hat customization. I happen to find exactly 8 colors, so maybe, just maybe, these represent the different 8 disciplines that we will have. But that's mostly an unfounded assumption from my side, just because the number is the same. Lastly, for customization, we have the Witchbrook Cottage, which is probably the place we live in, close to a woodland where we can decorate, garden, and raise wildlife. And for friends and romance, dating is confirmed, which I imagine will be small events like Stardew Valley has. We also had several characters appearing on the trailers, but unfortunately, no portrait has been seen so far. I really hope they do add portraits, and I even hope for maybe some voice acting as well would be my dream, but portraits are definitely a must in my opinion. If not, we'll have to depend on mods afterwards probably. Moving on to seasons and events, yes, they are both confirmed and have been teased on the trailers. We also seen confirmed events and festivals, and it seems that events will take place at different locations. So there'll probably be some fun stalls from shops from most port city in all of them, and you can see there's also Witchbrook College stall as well. We also had some fun mysterious omen teased on the oracles, which leads you to a page on the website showcasing this altar. And I think the decorations on this altar represents the different festivals upcoming. Although I don't really know what these festivals would be specifically, so if you have any ideas, please tell me in the comments down below, because I am super curious and I would love to read what I have to say. I guess for spring, it's an Easter because of the eggs, and for summer, it could be like a midsummer of sorts. But for winter, I literally have no clue. I thought maybe we would have Yule, which is kind of like the OG Christmas from Paganism, but there is no red in here, so I'm not really certain what the winter one is supposed to stand for. Now, to analyze the world and how the exploration will play out, I screenshotted every frame of the trailers and shorts and have put the whole map together in a single image to try to figure out the size and placement, and found some interesting points I'd like to talk about. And if you like to see more of this map that I pieced together, I'll make a full video in detail about it next week because it was so much work. I need to talk more about it. But if you can't wait, you can join my Discord server because I've posted there in our Witchbrook channel. So first of all, we cannot talk about the world without talking about the gorgeous pixel art style and the insane amount of detail that has gone into crafting this. I love the vibes of the world so far. It reminds me of Studio Ghibli, Little Witch Academia, Magus Bride, all in the best ways possible. Also, the map is going to be huge, and I mean that. Not only we have multiple areas such as Mossbolt City, Forest, Farm, Witchbrook College, and more, but we also have underground areas and multiple floors, as you can see here and also here. It is so huge that we can fly around with our broom, bike around, or even take the bus. It also seems to be pretty seamless with little to no loading screens, which is amazing if it's true. Also, something really neat that Dessa has noticed on my Discord server is that the houses all have a numbering system. Not only this was super helpful to put the crazy map together, but it seems that each street has its own numbers ranging from 0 to 17 so far, and they're actively mentioned on the side quests. So we'll probably end up memorizing the address of different shops and houses, which I thought was super cute and very, very immersive. Makes the world feel alive, not to mention the amazing attention to detail. Now, moving on to the last section of this video, the little extra details and activities that I noticed were about, first, the side jobs. It seems that delivering items for the post office, the star reading, crafting herbal medicines, and fixing stuff around Mossbolt cities are some of the confirmed side jobs that we can do. We've also had confirmation of extra activities like taking photos, playing games in the arcade, selling our crafts at the Sunday markets, fishing, and petting animals. We can certainly upgrade our tools since there are multiple watering cans being displayed at the shops. But that makes me think that we may not actually have combat in the game, which is not a problem at all in my opinion. And lastly, two things that I've noticed, but I'm not really certain if it's like just an Easter egg or just a prop for decoration, are what clearly looks like a D&D table, and also this bunch of grimoires that are scattered across the college classrooms. Again, maybe these are just decorative items, but I thought that maybe they were worth mentioning and maybe you guys can put something together here. And that concludes everything I have noticed from checking every single frame of the trailers, but please let me know below if you noticed anything else, and again, feel free to check the world map screenshots that I've collected together. Thank you so much for watching and see you on the next one.
Ryan Little.